everyone. Welcome back to ESG Pivot Series. Today we have a special guest for you. Karim Zein is joining us from the other side of the world, from Marrakesh, and he's a social entrepreneur. But in the past career path, he has been working with international NGOs and government organizations. He was a founder and the president of the Sustainability Business Associates. It is really an honor to have you with us today, Karim, and thanks for taking the time to share your work experience with us. Welcome, Karim. Let's start by talking about your previous experience with Sustainable Business Associates, which is an NGO organization founded by you and based in Geneva, Switzerland. So could you tell us a little bit about that experience of how did this come along? I know it was a long time ago, so back in the time, we probably haven't heard about sustainability or active engagement. So tell us what it was like back then and how did you evolve in this position?
So thank you very much, Maria, for welcoming me in your channel. Sustainable Business Associates started, in fact, in the 90s. I mean, there was one of the first Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, and I was working in business, but I was not satisfied. So I really wanted to shift to the environment dimension. And that's what I made my education. I had the first European master on environment management. And from there, I wanted to bring back those fresh ideas of environmental protection, sustainability, cleaner production to the Arab countries from which I was originated. So I founded this international NGO, which was based in Switzerland. And we started advocating, organizing conferences, seminars, workshops. We started with the high-level people. I mean, we thought in our Arab countries, everything is on the pyramid level. So if you get the awareness of the top managers, then it would be easier to flow down. And we made network of CEOs in each of the Arab countries. Sometimes it was an independent network, sometimes it was linked to a chamber of commerce, etc. And we started speaking about environmental protection. In most countries, the Ministry of Environment did not exist, no laws did exist, but little by little, I mean, we approached it from the market perspective, saying, look, in the future, if you don't deal with the environmental dimension, you will be out of the market. And we had several case studies like this from Mexico, from Asia, from Egypt, etc. And it was kind of an eye-opening for the top decision makers. Then when we got their blessing and then their commitment and involvement, I mean, we started working with the managing levels, and we developed some easy to implement tools. I mean, the Rolls-Royce would be the ISO 14000, but we made something much easier, checklists, etc. And we trained maybe 25,000 managers and technicians in the 10 or 12 Arab countries we were involving in short training, but also training on the ground, because we visited their own factories and we tried to pinpoint opportunities for saving material, saving energy, saving water, recycling waste, etc. So together with all those technicians and managers, we tried to go to action. I mean, it was not theory, and our program was called Delta, Developing Environment Leadership Towards Action. And we were really trying to find opportunities for recycling, saving water, etc. And we saved a lot of cubic meter of gases. We saved a lot of money, etc. So I would say that is one of the main impact that we had on the company, and that could be really measurable. You asked me last day what is my main challenges as my role with SPA. I was a president for 20 years. It was a little bit hard at the beginning, mainly for fundraising, because we got our funds from the international donors, Swiss government, United Nations, European Union, etc., just to get a name so that we get our references. Then when that was acquired, I mean, money issue was not anymore a problem at all. It was really to have the good teams, the good colleagues, the good partners, the good engineers that were working with us in our various projects. So that's where we were with the Sustainable Business Associates. I mean, I could say a lot. It was very interesting. I mean, I was traveling maybe every 10 days in a different country, meeting so many different people, learning about their cultures, their approach to problems, their approach to human approach, etc. I learned also what patience meant. Was very fortunate that I was able to speak Arabic, English, German, French, and that was really also a door opener. Was so enriching experience, this 20 years with Sustainable Business Associates.
Very interesting. So could you share with us an example of an engagement that you've done maybe on the grounds? I know that you worked in the Maghrebian country, in Saudi Arabia and Africa. So it would be really exciting and interesting to hear what was it like to be working with those CEOs and governments and making actually progress in terms of sustainability on the ground.
There would be plenty of experiences, but I'll mention one. I mean, we were in Algeria speaking with CEOs and the manager, and we were promoting, we were saying we need recycling of cardboard, of plastic, as we know it in our Western countries. But then when we went into the field, we saw there was no recycling jobs or no recycling channels. So that's where, together with the industrialist and one municipality in one industrial zone, we made a recycling center. So we had donated by the municipality such a big piece of land. We organized it for the various goods that would be recuperated from the industry. And then also we found channels where to allocate those goods so they have a second life, what we call now upcycling or recycling, etc. So that was also in the early 90s that we started this project. And in fact, by the matter of fact, the young engineer that was director of this center, Mr. Karim Zein, he became Mr. Waste on a national level. I mean, he's heading the waste agency now since 7 or 8 years. So it's also kind of a good achievement on a human level.
So I see that you had a really meaningful and interesting impact on the local grounds. And I know that eventually you have decided to change your focus and actually leave the Sustainable Business Associates in Geneva and start your own venture, doing an impact more on the grounds. So could you tell us about what led to your thought process? Why did you decide to change the career and change your focus in this area? And how did you prepare for this shift?
Yes, thank you, Maria. So, basically there was one external factor and one internal or more personal factor that led to this shift. I mean, the external factor was this Arab Spring that happened in many of the countries we were involved. I mean, Syria, Tunisia, Egypt, and we had big national projects. For instance, in Syria, we were involved with the national education, bringing in into primary and secondary school in the curricula, the environmental dimension. So all those projects, little by little, with the unrest and the war and the change of politics in all those countries, our projects have stopped one after the other. We were still working a little bit in Africa, also in Ukraine and Iran, but was getting tough. And my second motivation, I mean, it was I wasn't tired of the work. I was really very much enthusiastic about what I'm doing, but little by little, I mean, I wasn't facing those motivated partners within the donor community. I was much more dealing with bureaucrats. They wanted reports on this and more reports on this, and it was getting a little bit annoying. And at the same time, I was seeing what was happening a lot. I mean, environment was used just as greenwashing by many companies. It wasn't the case in the beginning, but now, yeah, everyone was speaking about corporate social responsibility, recycling, even if they don't do anything, but they use it a lot in their image, etc. So that was the two factors that made me decide to close the Sustainable Business Associate page and start a totally new life here in Morocco.
Mm-hmm. Great. So let's talk about the current work that you do. You are working with the local communities, driving change in the region of Marrakesh through a social impact mainly, and also some environmental considerations. So could you tell us about the work that you do? I think it's extremely inspiring, and I've seen the pictures of the Baab Zouina, and I think it definitely gives some desire for our spectators to come and visit you.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah, I mean, Baab Zouina, when I was young, teenage or just young adult, I came to Morocco backpacking and I fell in love with the country. And there is an Arab proverb saying, Ashjar thumma dar, so look for the neighbor before constructing your house. So I had a very nice friend. He was building his house here, so he was a best neighbor possible. So that's why I bought this piece of land maybe 30 years ago, 35 years ago. It stayed a farm, planted some olive trees, and I left it like this, just a small house, secondary house. And yeah, beginning when the Arab Spring started, I had more time and I started coming with my yoga teachers. We were practicing on a hobby here on the terrace of the farm. And so my teachers, Carl said to Claude, Claude said to Siri, Siri to Kate, and they all told me you need to make a yoga retreat center here in this area. So 2015, I came. It was a lot of red tape with the local bureaucracy, but I made it for construction permit to build a nice yoga shala, adding a few rooms. Then the operation permit, the accreditation by the Ministry of Tourism, etc. So all this took some time, and 2018 we were able to open and operate Baab Zouina. And as you stressed, I mean, one very important thing for me, from all the lessons learned from macro level that I had from SBA, Sustainable Business Associates, I wanted to implement here on a local level with my local community. So the 20 people that are working here are just neighbors or from the village. We try to buy locally. We try to buy organic as much as possible. And also, we help also the local association here, the local community. We are in the middle of 3 villages, and our main action is on the education, because there is a big gap between primary, secondary school. Secondary school is very far, so the young boys and mainly the young girls drop off. So we really wanted to help that the schooling continues. So that is one of our main action here in the Douars BT village. On top of this, also, we are promoting basic recycling, basic good practices into agriculture, into water usage and electricity. So whatever I was doing at macro level, I'm trying to do it here at micro level with very palpable, very the results that you can see the next day. Yeah, so that's it. And at the same time, we're welcoming also guests, because our business is really a yoga center. We have retreats for 1 week, 10 days, 1 month, and we try to give them this opportunity to be disconnected from stress, from modern life, and just to be connected to nature. So yeah, that's now my life. And as you said, I'm quite happy with how it is, but I'm open for any challenges.
Thank you, Karim, for sharing your story with us. It was really interesting to discover your journey. That really inspiring story, and I wish you best of luck for your business and for the local communities as well.